tropics as we head into the final stretch of hurricane season.
Plus, the exciting visit I had today with students at Moody Middle School. What a time. We will share some scenes.
WBRC Fox 6 News. First Alert Weather Extra starts now.
Welcome into Weather Extra. Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt.
And I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Wes, it looks like you had a blast, and I had some of that cake they gave you. Top notch.
Top notch cake. Yeah, we'll have some pictures of that. And it was, we had some hurricane designs on there. You know, the tropics, Lauren, despite all the names, I mean, we're already up to Rena. Things have been rather calm, I guess, as far as the Gulf region at least.
Right. The Gulf has been kind of eerily quiet, which we're fine with that going into spooky season. Stay quiet, Gulf of Mexico. Yeah. But we'll definitely be talking about the tropics in depth throughout the show, checking in with Matt and Mickey for more on that. But right now, Wes, I can't complain about this weather. Really, the one complaint is that wildfire smoke that's been making it a little hazy. Yeah,
it has been a little bit hazy out there, and we're going to get into that because you may have noticed some lovely sunset views. In fact, I want to take you to some of our camera views here coming up, and you can see that it looks there's quite a glow out there in the atmosphere this evening. We're going to explain why, but also you can see we have a few clouds that are making their way in from the west direction as we go to First Alert AccuTrack. You can see, but as we go to our other system, Lauren, if we can put that on, I want to show the map here across the country. One of the next big things that we're going to be tracking, we are looking at, again, I mentioned the setup out there right now. You can see those lovely colors there with the clouds, and we've had a little bit of that haze from some of the wildfire smoke moving into the region, but it's very dry for us. But the weather pattern really starting to shift here. Back to the west, you can see increasing storm threat across the heart of the country. This is that next storm system, the upper wind pattern starting to shift and sending a cold front to the south, and there's some severe weather breaking out right now across parts of Kansas and out into the plain states. But as this system starts to dive in, you can see as the jet stream takes the dive, that gives way, opens a gate to some of that cold air to spill southward, and we're going to get a taste of that this weekend. It looks like through at least Thursday we're still going to have the hot afternoons, but once we get into the weekend we'll see highs in the 70s, lows into the 40s. But again, a live look, some of our camera views. I had one view to the west, that's Gardendale, and temperatures in the 80s, but see that lovely glow there in the atmosphere. Temperature at 83, a live look from Brookwood Baptist, and from Shelby County right now at the University of Montevallo, our First Alert Sky Vision, temperature of 83 degrees, but dry west to east across the state of Alabama, already down to 79 here at Jasper and Haleyville, so a nice drop in temperatures. But here's what we're tracking. We've got the next system at the earliest. Now it looks like Thursday night we could get some showers, and then colder this weekend, and we are tracking Philippe. Matt and Mickey will have some updates on what we're tracking in the tropics coming up.
And as we mentioned, if you noticed a slight haze across Alabama this morning, you can blame the Canadian wildfires again. Check out this footage from New York on Monday. The state's Environmental Conservation Department said despite the hazy conditions, air quality would stay in the moderate range, so sensitive groups would not be as affected. And that Canadian wildfire smoke right here in our neck of the woods. Now, it's not like you're going to walk outside today and you are met with a plume of smoke. This is lofted up in the atmosphere. But if we zoom in here on Alabama, you can see, man, we've got that thicker smoke in the air across central Alabama. So it's what's allowing that haze to be across the sky. And it's not just central Alabama, extending into the Wiregrass in southeast Alabama, north central Florida and southwest Georgia, and also into parts of Georgia and the Carolinas. So is this still going to be an issue for us tomorrow? Well, we've got high pressure off to our north, and that's why we're seeing this wildfire smoke from Canada circulating down the east coast, and then air moves clockwise around high pressure in the northern hemisphere. So you get that flow coming down the eastern seaboard, and I think for tomorrow we can still expect some hazy conditions. Eventually that high pressure is going to shift more to the northeast of us as we get into Thursday, and then eventually we could be seeing that potential for not just the wildfire smoke, but that fading away, and first alert for maybe a few sprinkles in the forecast, as Wes was saying. But the question is, could we get enough to help with these dry conditions we have across the state?
Yeah, we're still under a statewide fire alert with dry and even drought-like conditions. all across the state of Alabama, and this fire alert doesn't stop you from burning leaves in your yard or starting a fire as the temperatures drop, but experts stress you still need to be cautious with any outdoor burning, of course.
Most fires are caused from human sources, and simply by encouraging people to not burn at this time helps us to prevent more fires from being started and help protect the people of the state of Alabama.
And this is a very dangerous time of the year, of course, anytime you get into September and October, because it is our drier time of the year. But I want to update you on our First Alert drought monitor. And one thing that you'll notice is that we're still seeing the abnormally dry conditions. And you'll see what we're talking about here with the rainfall budget throughout the year. Where we are, October, that certainly doesn't help us out. It's our driest month of the year. But with respect to the drought monitor, we're in the abnormally dry conditions. We'll likely see some of those severe drought conditions starting to develop across our area over the next several days. But we do have that chance for showers coming up here on Thursday that we'll be talking about. And hopefully we'll get just a little bit of rain out of that particular system. Next week also, going beyond the 7-day forecast, also looks dry. I don't see a major rainmaker for next week. So the next best chance is this system moving in here on Thursday that we will be talking about. Coming up right here on Weather Extra. And also we'll have updates, as I mentioned, on the tropics. That's going to be coming up here in a few moments. And I believe we do have some visit video from earlier today I wanted to share with you. I was out at Moody Middle School, and you could see this. I mentioned the hurricane cake earlier, and I'll tell you what, it looks like a hurricane right now, Lauren, because we tore into that thing, but we had so much fun. It was delicious, and thank you to all the teachers, and I want to thank Ms. Carlisle for the invite. This is the 6th graders at Moody Middle School. They're studying meteorology and been talking a lot about science, and we got into some severe weather topics. And while October is typically a very calm time of the year, one thing we got into is that coming up in November we get into our second primary severe weather season, which any time of the year severe weather can happen across Alabama, but they were all into it. And of course we sang some weather tunes and had a lot of fun there. Great singers. Lauren, I came up with a name here. I went Moody Blues. Hey, you've heard of the Moody Blues, right? But they did a great job. We had a lot of fun. And by the way, teachers, if you want to set up a school visit, go to our website, WBRC.com, and just search for Weather in the Classroom.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. An already active hurricane season could become more eventful in the final stretch. The number of storms tend to drop off toward the end of October, aided by El Nino, which can suppress hurricane activity. But hey, that may not be the case this year. More storms could possibly develop out over the open ocean, where temperatures are unusually warm. The water temperatures, that is. Experts say they are in, quote, uncharted waters and are struggling to make a confident forecast. Well, the Atlantic hurricane season has already had 18 named storms so far, which is above average for the annual season. So on that note, meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson join us now to talk about these tropical trends.
Well, it is October. It's already been a very active Atlantic hurricane season, hasn't
it? Yeah, it has, and we're almost out of names.
Yeah, and here's a look at those names. We only have, what, 4 left? So Sean's the next name on the list, and we still have another 2 months to go before the season officially ends on November 30th. So it's been very active. Now, thankfully, a lot of these storms have formed in the Atlantic and pretty much have stayed in the Atlantic. And we just look at the energy they spin up, and the accumulated energy is a little bit higher than normal. So they've already declared this an active or above active average season. So,
have we ever had a Matt name?
We haven't. It got retired.
You got retired?
Matthew.
We never had a Mickey.
I'm sure that would get retired as well.
Okay.
It's okay. Here's a look at activity during the hurricane season. Of course, it peaks September 10th, and we've darkened the area we've already gone through. So you really see it really goes downhill after October. November, it gets pretty quiet. You might see one named storm in November, but we're getting there. I'm starting to see the
Seems
light.
like we saw one late last year, didn't we?
We did. In fact, we had one non-named storm form in January.
Yeah,
earlier
that was
this
it.
year.
Yeah.
But of course
Crazy.
that included this year for the list. But here's the areas we usually watch when it comes to tropical formation in October, Mickey.
Yeah, we have those cold fronts that come through this time of the year, and that keeps them out to sea a little bit. So down in the Caribbean and just off the East Coast is typically where they're going to fall. Those are track A's and track B's. Of where we typically see that, and this is historic. This is where we've seen these systems form in the month of October, between October 1st and October 10th.
Yeah, so right there in the central Atlantic, right off the East Coast, Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico. So that's formed in the first week or so of October. And then between October 11th and 20th, these are all the storms that formed. And you can see those locations match right where climatology tells you. And you don't normally see storms form off the coast of Africa as we go in October. It starts to cool down. You don't see as many systems moving off the coast of Africa. And then as we finish out October, we've really seen some improvement there. But once again, that's a look at the list. We have 4 names to go. It'd be nice if it's just stopped. But we'll be watching the Gulf and, of course, Caribbean over the next month or two.
But we're over the hump.
It's looking
Over
good.
the hump. We're matching today, by the way. You're looking sharp.
We planned it.
And still ahead on First Alert Weather Extra, the interesting shape of Saturn's moon captured by NASA. But first, here's today's weather question. We'll be right back.
He's yeah. I gotcha. Today's weather. Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. We had our Weather 101 question before the break. What day does daylight saving time end? Well, it is November 5th, and yes, we will fall back this year. A lot of folks were asking me about, I thought that got changed, but no, it's happening this year. It hasn't been fully passed, so be ready for that time change here coming up on November 5th. But the temperature fall is certainly going to be happening as we move ahead. You can see tonight already a big drop in temperatures down to 73 at Pell City, 70 at Coleman. We're 76 in Haleyville, and a very dry setup that we have across the state here for the next couple of days. Here's a look at the latest high resolution data, and it looks like out the door tomorrow morning more 50s early on, 59 around Alabaster, Clinton, Coleman, and then into the afternoon at 3 o'clock you can see it looks like the temperatures back into the upper 80s in parts of the area. This is probably the last week where we could touch 90 degrees as far as the temperatures, because next week it looks like at max we're going to see low 80s coming back next week. But the chance for wet weather, it's low, but at least we have a 30% chance of showers, and you see why. Here's that system that's moving our way, but it starts to run into this dry air that we have over the region. It just really struggles to generate much rain, but scattered showers are possible. The one thing you can tell from yesterday that the timing has shifted sooner. It looks more like now Thursday during the evening hours, and overnight the possibility of a passing shower, or the chances is around 30%, so it's rather low. And after that, once we get to Friday and into the weekend, we got the cooler air that takes over and a big drop in temperatures. You can see 40s coming back during the morning hours on Sunday, and again early on Monday we'll start out with temperatures down into the 40s. But with all the events happening, with it being a little bit drier, of course that's going to cooperate with the Coleman County Fair, and looks like for Thursday again maybe a couple of showers during the evening hours. A first check on the kickoff forecast. There's been some shower and storm activity around College Station today, and by the weekend those cooler conditions take over. Temperatures around 78 at kickoff time. Looks dry there at College Station, and for other games happening around the area. South Florida at UAB, 72 out of Protective, and you can see Saturday nice sunshine on the way. Morehouse at Tuskegee, 62 degrees at kickoff time in Birmingham. So yeah, a little bit cooler there. And this weekend we've got the overnight lows in the 40s. Monday and Tuesday sunshine. Looks like temperatures back up to around 80 degrees there as we get into Tuesday afternoon. So as we go beyond the 7-day forecast I was mentioning into next week, it looked like at max we might see temperatures back into the low 80s, but then another drop in temperatures on the way towards the end of next week. Meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by as we go beyond the 7-day forecast. And Lauren, I was looking at some of the long-range data. It looks like even though we still could see some big temperature fluctuations, not a lot of rainfall.
Yeah, that's the problem, Wes. You know, as we look ahead here beyond the 7-day, it does seem like generally, okay, temperatures don't look ridiculously hot again. You'll notice with that temperature outlook, well, first of all, looking good for the East Coast with below average fall-like temperatures, but you'll notice, man, across the Rockies and a good portion of the West into the Midwest, above average temperatures 6 to 10 days from now. But hey, here in Alabama, it still looks like 6 to 10 days from now, we could be running a little bit below average. So we'll take it. Now, does that mean 80s are gone? No, but you'll see those high temperatures. This is looking from October 9th through 18th. We see temperatures in the 70s for highs, and then some days getting into the low mid 80s, but hey, not seeing 90s, so we're happy about that. But of course, it's the morning and evening hours when you really begin to feel that fall feel in the air. And so you'll notice low temperatures October 9th through 18th. We could be seeing not just 40s, but of course still some 50s in the forecast. But generally looks like, hey, maybe temperatures could be running a little bit cooler than average. But as Wes mentioned, the one fly in the ointment with this nice forecast would be the fact that it doesn't look like we're going to be seeing a lot of rain. You can see along the Gulf Coast, the immediate Gulf Coast at least, above average precipitation possible, and into the northwest U.S., but for a lot of the country below average precipitation, and that does include us in a good portion of north and central Alabama. But as we've been mentioning, as Wes noticed earlier, this is our driest time of the year, so this is nothing unusual, but when you got a burn ban in place, it can certainly affect that. Well, we're talking about how we've been seeing anomalously warm temperatures, not just across parts of the U.S. in the summer months and across parts of the ocean, but we have to think about the long-term effects of this. So the Treasury Department is warning about the effects of climate disasters on homeowners. Within the last year, 13% of Americans reported hardships due to severe weather events. Researchers say that severe flooding, wildfires, and extreme heat are putting financial burdens on households across the country. And families that are unable to pay for their repairs may see their property values decline or vanish. Extreme weather could also lead to food shortages, increased risks for the loss of jobs, and businesses that could be seeing issues with those rising costs. And in an effort to find innovative ways to adapt to climate change, Starbucks says they have developed new climate-proof coffee, which apparently is a thing. It's the result of 10 years of research. The new catalog will come in 2 variations, one with notes of melon, honey, and sugar, while another will have a citrus and herbal floral taste. This comes after experts warn that current growing conditions for coffee may not last another 20 years. Warmer temperatures will reduce the crop's farming area by half. And hey, check this out. It's just about time for dinner. Literally, what time is it now? 6:50. We got about 10 minutes. So just being about time for dinner, I think these images from NASA prove just that we need to wrap this up soon and go grab some dinner. Check it out. The space agency posted these photos of Pan, Saturn's moon, on their Instagram and asked if the moon's shape resembles ravioli or an empanada. I kind of think it looks like a dumpling. These pictures were taken 6 years ago by the Cassini spacecraft. Scientists say the prominent ridge along Pan's equator is what gives it its distinct shape. So the question is, for dinner, ravioli, empanadas, or dumplings? I may have all 3. But before we get to those dinner plans, we still got some more weather extra for you. Here's a look at today's Weather Almanac.
Okay, hey, we've had some lovely photos, and you were talking about all this wildfire smoke that's
Mm-hmm.
moving in. It can often really enhance those colors during the evening hours.
Yeah, it can. And we can see right here, it made a beautiful view of the sunrise and sunsets that we've been getting. This is from Logan Martin Lake, sent in on the First Alert weather app from Lori.
Wow,
And
look at
then,
that.
oh, look at this one. This Mike may have just one up that one. A beautiful view from Hoover. Wes, do you recognize where that is? That looks kind of familiar on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I don't think, no, it's not Veterans Park, but
It's a beautiful park.
I have to
wherever
think about it.
is.
I think
Yeah.
it looks very familiar.
That is, oh man.
Oh, well, I know
Sharon
lately.
Gill. Every time Sharon
Yeah.
Gill sends us in a photo, I'm like, well, it can't get much better than that. Beautiful views, and I'm telling you, it
Cotton
just
candy sky
Oh yeah,
there.
we love a cotton. Oh, and then
Oh, wow.
Rick Smith went
Okay.
down to Panama City Beach. So, you know, we always see our
Yeah.
beautiful weather photos in Central Alabama, and then you send a beach photo. It's like, well, that's it.
I talked to, yesterday had lunch with a friend from the National Weather Service, and he was talking about, he was on vacation last week and said it was packed down on the coast. A lot of the schools, I guess they were having fall breaks
Right.
in neighboring states, and said, I was surprised at the number. It was like spring break on the
Oh
beach.
my goodness. Well, first alert for that. I actually was just talking with my doctor today, and he said they've got Vestavia, they have their fall break this weekend. So
Okay,
I
so
guess
there will be
they're
another-
coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, another be ready for
Yeah.
some more folks to head down to the coast, which, you know, thankfully, you know, with this hurricane season, I know folks along the coast are happy that
yeah.
finally we catch a break, at least this hurricane season so far, and hopefully it's going to stay that way. You know, you get in the late October especially and into November, the chances of something reaching
Right.
the Alabama Gulf Coast really drop off.
Yeah, it's late
Yeah.
October when you can kind of finally stop holding your breath and
Yeah.
just release that sigh of relief a little bit. Because, you know, we have seen hurricanes in October. We have, of course, Michael, I think one of the more infamous ones in October.
Well, when you start to get those strong westerly winds, like with this cold front coming up,
Right.
it sweeps the tropical systems
It
back
does.
out into the Atlantic. So it protects us once we start getting that cooler air moving in. So it's starting to see some pattern changes. We're going to be talking more about that next front that's on the way. I wanted to mention JP is going to be joining us here coming up later this week. We're going to talk more about this drought developing and this rainfall deficit. But we'll have a lot more content. Fred checked in with some folks regarding some of the fall weather. We'll have that for you later this week.
Yeah, got some great content this week, so make sure you join us every weeknight at 6:30. And for now, ooh, look at that, Wes, sun already setting. Have a